is it that my father could be convicted of 34 crimes, but no one on Epstein's list has even been brought to light? I'm trying to figure out how that's possible, right, folks? It's almost like they're trying to protect those pedophiles for some reason. I can't imagine why, right?
Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list.
Everybody in politics has a vice that's much worse than alcoholism, is the way that I put it. But we
release the list.
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump.
In this case, in Epstein's case, it is incredibly disturbing. We have flight logs, we have information, names that will come out.
I'm not ever going to let this story go because of what I heard from a source about Bill Clinton on a plane with Jeffrey Epstein. I'm not letting it go ever. Ever.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable.
All of these people are in power now. All of these people could certainly release the quote unquote list. Is it exactly a list? Is it a network of contacts? Is it video footage of people that committed crimes against children? We don't know. And we may never know, which is leading some people to ask the question, like, is Trump actually in the Epstein files? And personally, my take on that is no. But what is your opinion? Because I can't reconcile this Donald Trump with the Trump that we're seeing right now, the Trump that is gaslighting the public right now, the Trump that I voted for across multiple elections. The Epstein scandal is definitely terminal cancer to Trump's MAGA movement. There's no question about that. I actually said to my husband this weekend, we were talking about it, that in order for Trump to get out of this is how bad it is, in order for him to actually make the MAGA base forget this, like potentially move on from Jeffrey Epstein, he would essentially have to come right out and repeal income tax in the United States. And then we would be extremely happy. Everyone would be very happy. And then we'd go, actually, thanks, Trump, but we still remember the Epstein scandal and we want the list. That's how bad it is. There's just no making anybody forget about this Epstein scandal. It's a major fumble. And I want to be very clear, Trump's team knows that. Everything they are doing right now indicates that they are in panic, a full-blown panic. And what I mean when I say Trump's team, I kind of mean the Zionists that are around Trump and have been kind of running everything behind the scenes. Now let's back up here, because in case you missed it over the weekend, the first thing that transpired was that there was a confirmation that the footage, remember, it's supposed to be the raw footage from Jeffrey Epstein's cell. This is so transparent. You can watch this footage yourself. We're dropping 10 hours of raw footage for you to climb through. Turns out, actually, the footage was edited. Here's the story that broke and trended over this weekend. The headline is coming from Wired, and it tells us that the metadata shows that the FBI's quote-unquote raw Jeffrey Epstein prison video was likely modified. Now, we've gone over what metadata is for those of you that are not up on your computer literacy, but we looked at this, the Justin Baldoni case. You can kind of go in and see when certain files were uploaded, learn about the path of those files. And they took a look at the metadata that was embedded into the video. At Wired took a look at this. They analyzed it, and their forensic experts concluded that rather than this being some direct export, which it would have to be raw footage from the prison surveillance system, the footage was modified. Essentially, it looked to them that they had uploaded footage into Adobe Premiere Pro and that the files then were assembled from at least 2 source clips. Then it was saved multiple times, and then it was exported, and then it was uploaded to the DOJ's website, where it was presented as if it was not touched at all. Now, the experts say that it's not exactly clear what was changed, why it was changed. Doesn't mean that it's necessarily definitively deceptive manipulation, but it definitely leads to some questions asked, which one of the biggest questions is, why do they lie? Why are they lying? Why refer to it as raw footage? If you know that it was uploaded into a software, maybe they just put 2 clips together, but why did you put those 2 clips together? Again, they're saying, Wired, that the absence of the clear explanation for what they use to process the file is complicating the DOJ narrative. And there are a lot of red flags that keep adding up here, right? If you're paying attention, foremost, the prison footage that they released, if they actually wanted to be transparent, again, pardon me and my common sense here, but if they wanted to be transparent, shouldn't we have seen in that footage some prison guards or correctional officers sprinting to his cell once they got the call and they realized that somebody had committed suicide? It would have been, I think it would have been prudent for them to release footage of a bunch of people chaotically running towards the cell. Because you might say, oh, well, they didn't want to show footage of him being pulled out of the cell because, that footage it's really hard to take a look at. It's a dead person. That's way too much. Let me remind you that they already showed us dead Jeffrey Epstein. 60 Minutes did a whole special on it, and they showed who they're alleging is Jeffrey Epstein to, put the public conspiracy theories to bed. This is him, bloodied, bruised. This shows, the noose that was around his neck. 60 Minutes already did that. So why didn't the DOJ show us just a little bit more action? Instead, what they presented to the public was footage that begins at 7:04 p.m. Eastern, the night before he commits suicide on August 9th, and it lasts until 6:40 a.m. on the 10th. Why? Why did they choose that 10-hour window? We've still not gotten any clear explanation as to why there was a minute of footage missing, by the way. Remember, Pam Bondi told us something ridiculous. It made no sense. It was honestly, sometimes every night they take away a minute, and they've been doing that for a long time. And I'm looking for clarity as to why that is, but we'll circle back. It was a Jen Psaki kind of response. Okay, so this leads to the bigger question here, which is, did Jeffrey Epstein actually kill himself? Or did he make an escape? Or did somebody enter his cell and murder him? Those are really the only three available options that the public has.
Honestly speaking, politicians are shameless. They are really, really shameless. For the longest time, I thought that the politicians that we need to be worried about are those from Africa. Do not think that I love putting down Africans. That's not what I'm trying to do. I believe that the only way we can get our problems solved is to call out the problems. I don't think that we can get anything solved by denying those things exist. I love making examples from things in Africa or with things in Africa because that is where I am from, and my whole experience is about Africa. So that is why I love making examples from there. African politicians, most of them, not all, are liars. They are manipulators. They don't care about the people. They do what they do. They bribe. They collect bribes. They are embezzlers. They are corrupt. Name it. And they have done it all. So, when we watch the CNN, the BBC, the Al Jazeera, and all those Western media, and we hear the way they talk about their politicians, we thought that their politicians were way more better than ours, and that their politicians were way more noble. I mean, they had principles that they uphold. That was what we thought. Particularly me. That was what I thought. But recent events have led us to see clearly what they are. They are no better than the politicians we have in Africa. And if there was a situation that they could milk for their own gains, they would do just that. Can anyone begin to imagine, or can we just begin to remind ourselves how Donald Trump milked the whole Epstein files? How his whole campaign was about releasing the Epstein files, how people around him championed the release of the Epstein files, and how there was this whole crusade on justice, on liberty, on freedom, on peace, and everything good in America. In fact, they were supposed to be the ones, or the administration, that totally changes the face of America. They were gonna right all the wrongs. Every single one of it. That's what they said. Trump sounded it all over the place. He was going to release the Epstein files. He was going to release the Epstein files. If that was the last thing he did, he was going to release it. He was going to make sure that everyone gets to see exactly what was in those files, and he was going to expose all the corruption, all the backdoor negotiations, and everything that was wrong. He was going to expose all of them. He said that. But what are we seeing? What are we seeing? Nothing. Nothing at all. You know, when he won the election, and when he was sworn in, and when he comfortably settled in the White House, everything changes. Now, if people ask him to fulfill his promises, then those people are the bad ones. They are bad dudes. They are distractors. And those people are not his supporters, or he doesn't want them to be his supporters. According to Trump, it's just a one-way street. You support him, he tells you what he's going to do. He either does them or he doesn't do them. But everything will be his own decision to make. And if you try to push him, if you try to force him, if you try to hold him accountable, then he is going to tell you to keep your support to yourself, to keep your vote to yourself, and that he doesn't care about you. And by the way, who are you to tell him what to do? Who do you think you are to be telling him what to do? Isn't it funny? Isn't it funny? Look at, I think this is Don. Don, or is it Don Jr.? Yeah. Yeah. Saying how people don't want the files to be released because their names are there. Well, now that your father is the current leader of America, he is the one occupying the White House. He is the most powerful person in the whole world. Why has he not released the files? Why? Can anyone guess? Why? What about Kash Patel? Why has he not released the files? Or even J.D. Vance? Why has he not championed the whole releasing of the Epstein files? Even, is it Pan Bundys is also there. They all have their tails in between their legs. But this is just who politicians are. If you somehow think that they can do what they promise to do, then you would have your heart broken. Politicians just do what they think is best for them. They really do not care about common people. They don't care about all the promises they make. They don't care. They just make promises, and those promises, they don't fulfill them. And the next time they come, they make other promises. That is just who they are. So next time, be very, very watchful.